Chairman Hurd and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jay Spaan. I'm assistant to the Cherokee Nation and serve as Executive Director of the Tribal Self-Governance Consortium. Congress passed the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act in 1975 to affirm that tribal nations have the right to govern their own affairs and run the federal programs that serve their communities. Over the years, tribes and Congress strengthened the law, and in 2000, Congress made Title V self-governance a permanent option for the Indian Health Service. Today, nearly every tribe uses this authority, directly administering 65% of the IHS budget. IHS is a very different agency today than it was 20 years ago, not because its mission changed, but because tribal nations stepped up, delivered strong results, and changed what tribal-federal partnership looks like in practice. As IHS considers the largest organizational realignment in 2 decades, modernization is understandable and necessary. The agency faces workforce shortages, growing healthcare demands, and the reality that tribal nations now manage most of the system. But modernization must build on what already works, and it must strengthen, not weaken, tribal self-governance and the federal trust responsibility. I'm going to focus on 3 of the key areas identified in the IHS proposal that need greater attention. First, meaningful tribal consultation must guide any major restructuring. Consultation works when tribes have the full picture and enough time to evaluate the impacts. IHS released a high-level executive summary describing the proposed realignment on December 5th, a little more than just 1 week before the first consultation. Tribes need complete details to understand how the realignment would affect ISDEA implementation, funding processes, agency responsibilities, and the government-to-government relationship. Sharing more information earlier would improve consultation and lead to stronger modernization plans. After consultation, IHS should work side by side with tribal leaders to shape implementation. And when tribes do not support certain elements of the realignment, the agency should be ready to make changes. This is what meaningful consultation requires. Second, the proposal to centralize ISDEA negotiations raises concerns. IHS is proposing a new national office that would coordinate all Title I and Title V negotiations. While consistency across areas is a reasonable goal, centralizing negotiations could introduce new delays, reduce flexibility, and shift the process from a relationship-based approach to a more distant transactional one. We are already hearing from tribes that routine matters are taking longer because area offices must wait for approval from headquarters. It's not clear whether the additional approvals are needed because of reduced area office authority, limited legal resources, or inexperience of area lead negotiators, but the slowdown is frustrating and hinders self-determination and self-governance. Many tribes also note that area offices often provide faster and more accurate information because they know the communities they serve. At the same time, we recognize that some areas are under-resourced and not meeting tribal expectations. For that reason, tribes should be able to work with either their area office or a headquarters strike team until area office performance is consistently meeting tribal obligations and expectations. Strengthening the negotiation process is essential, and IHS needs to make meaningful changes, such as establishing performance metrics tied to communication timelines and using its proposed new office for training and mentorship. But centralizing these functions may weaken ISDEA implementation rather than improve it. Third, decision-making authority must remain connected to tribal communities. The plan to convert area offices into tribal relations offices and remove their authorities represents a major shift. Area directors currently play a critical role because they know the histories, priorities, and needs of the tribes they serve. Removing decision-making from the local level risks weakening accountability and reducing responsiveness. Again, area performance is not consistent, and improvements are needed, but modernization should lift up underperforming areas, not pull authority away from those that have strong relations and proven success. Modernization must keep decision-making as close as possible to tribal communities. Finally, modernization requires attention to issues outside of reorganization itself. IHS still faces a 35% vacancy rate. Several IHS behavioral health programs cannot yet be compacted under ISDEA. IPA agreement terms were recently changed without tribal consultation, and some IHS manuals and policies are outdated and do not reflect how tribal health systems operate today. These issues must be addressed to make modernization complete. Congress also plays a vital role. Making IHS funding mandatory, extending advance appropriations to all IHS accounts, and expanding ISDEA authority to more HHS programs would give IHS and tribes the stability and additional tools they need to carry self-governance into the next generation. Tribal nations and IHS share the same goal, a strong modern health system that delivers high-quality care and supports tribal self-governance We want this effort to succeed. If done right, realignment can help IHS become more responsive, more effective, and better prepared. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spaan. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilmember Kitchian for 5 minutes. Councilmember Kitchian.